I hope that you're feeling excited about starting Dry July, even if you are a little bit nervous. Dry July is a great time to quit drinking because you have a built-in reason. You're doing Dry July. Luckily, participating in challenges like Dry July and Dry January are even kind of cool now. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking for some new ideas or reminders about staying sober, then I hope this episode will be helpful for you. I also have a special series coming out in July. I'll be releasing 9 episodes with very comprehensive deep dives into all the science about alcohol. I'll cover everything you need to know about withdrawal and dopamine, why we wake up at 3 a.m. with anxiety, how alcohol affects the body, and the scary parts of that, why we keep forgetting how bad it is, why we'll never be able to moderate no matter what, and how the brain heals in sobriety versus what's going on with the brains of people that relapse. If my podcast has been helpful for you, then I know you're going to love these episodes. You can listen on Apple or Spotify. I also have a quit drinking course that's coming out on sober powered skills for July, which you can access for $5. This will include 3 ways to set yourself up for success in your first week, how to stop giving in to the efforts, how to build confidence and self-efficacy in your sobriety, 3 things that feel helpful but ultimately distract you from your sobriety, and how to start doing the work and keep your sobriety going long term. So information for all of this will be in the show notes for you. But let's get to Dry July. So the first week is really tough. You don't have a streak to motivate you. You might be feeling hopeless and disappointed in yourself, and you don't have much experience handling triggers and emotions without drinking. But once you get through that first week, you never have to go through this part ever again. So use that as a reminder to push yourself through. When I was experimenting with the idea of quitting drinking, I had a few worries that stood out in my mind. Would everybody call me an alcoholic and judge me? Would I be bored and miserable forever? Would my husband still want to be with me if I couldn't drink and have fun anymore? And I felt shame because I still believed it was all my fault and that I let this happen to me. I was worried that I was a weak-willed loser, and that was hard for me to feel. So whatever you're feeling in the beginning, I want you to know it's okay to feel that. Feelings are not permanent, but what I hope for you eventually is that you can move from all of these fears to just having hope for the future. Hope that your suffering is over and that you can have a happy life even if you're afraid, unsure, or insecure. Hope for the future is important. Not hope about curing yourself with this challenge, by the way, but hope about enjoying the positives of not drinking. And that distinction is really important. So here are my 10 tips for you for Dry July. Number 1, get all of the alcohol out of your house. This one is obvious, but it's critical for your success. If there's alcohol in your house, then it's much easier to drink it. There are some things that raise the barrier to drinking, and having alcohol not be easily accessible is one of them. If you're unwilling to get the alcohol out of your house, then that's really good information to have and something to be honest with yourself about. Why don't you want to let it go? If someone tries to give you a gift of alcohol, don't let it anywhere near your house. Just say, no thank you, I don't drink. Or immediately re-gift it in private. Or if it was at work, then just leave it in the kitchen area for someone else to take it. I set a rule of alcohol can never come into my house. If you have a partner who drinks, then this makes it more difficult, but something that you could do is ask if they would be willing to not drink for the first few weeks while you get used to not drinking yourself. And if they won't do that, that's good to know. Noted. And alternatively, you could ask them to keep their alcohol somewhere else, like in the basement or the garage, just somewhere that you don't have to look at it every second. Number 2, make staying sober a non-negotiable. Do not drink no matter what. I hear a lot of people say that they hope that they can stay sober or they're going to try to stay sober. And to me, this means that deep down you don't think you can, but you hope that you'll be able to figure it out. If you don't believe in yourself, then it's easier to drink because that's the outcome you already expect. It's easier to make excuses and bargain with yourself. So instead, go into it with the mindset of, I am not drinking no matter what. That's all you have to focus on in the beginning. Just whatever you have to do each day to continue not to drink. Mindset is really key here, and part of the next month is building your confidence in yourself. You don't have to be confident right now, especially when you have a lot of proof of the opposite, that you drink even when you say you won't, or you don't stop when you say you're only going to have a couple. But over time, as you keep this promise to yourself that you're not going to drink today, you will build that confidence. Number 3, do different stuff. A lot of us think that we can just stop drinking and that's enough, but we build our lives around drinking. You probably selected friends based on who wants to drink like you do and gave up hobbies that didn't involve alcohol. Slowly, we change our lifestyle to revolve around alcohol, and in sobriety, we have to change our lifestyle again. If you're used to sitting around watching TV for hours every night or spending a lot of time in the bar, then you have to adjust what you do. TV gets boring and repetitive when you do it for too long. And it's going to make you feel sad and feel like you need alcohol to enhance the situation. There's a quote that I love. If you hang out in the barbershop for too long, then you're going to get a haircut. If you just continue to live the same drinking lifestyle, then you're probably going to drink. Everything in that lifestyle is going to remind you of drinking and just seem not as good sober. You should also work on finding some kind of hobby. Do something totally different that you never would have done while you were drinking. This is your opportunity to try new things. And we gain so much time in sobriety, and if you spend that time sitting around doing nothing, then you're just going to want to drink. I'll explain more about this in my Dry July series on my podcast, but the brain is trying to identify things that mean alcohol is coming. So if you're used to sitting on the couch watching TV and getting drunk every night, then your brain is going to recognize that routine in the first week and send you cravings to drink. Changing up your environment and the activities that you're doing remove some of these cues. Number 4 is memes. When I quit drinking, I saved all of the funny alcohol memes on my phone and sent them to my husband. There are so many funny memes about just one drink and the silly ways that we think about drinking. It helped me to not feel alone in my struggles, and it was a quick reminder of why I can't drink. Number 5, change the way that you socialize and stop going to things until you feel more confident. It's okay to take a break from going out with drinkers until you feel more comfortable being around alcohol. I know a lot of us, we don't want things to have to change because we don't drink, but not drinking is a major life change. It's not like you're not eating gluten anymore. Alcohol becomes essential for our lives, so of course things will change when you stop drinking. You could suggest activities that don't involve alcohol, or you could suggest hanging out during the day. Don't force yourself to go to bars or parties and watch other people drink. That's going to be so boring. You might lose friends and not be invited to things anymore, but that's okay too. Sometimes drinkers don't want to invite you to parties because they actually think that they're protecting you and they don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. And other times, they just don't want to hang out with a sober person, and I can't really blame them. I wouldn't have wanted to hang out with a sober person when I was drinking. I didn't even want to hang out with moderate drinkers. So if you didn't want to have 10 drinks, then I didn't want to talk to you. If some of your friendships with drinking buddies end, then it just makes space for true friends to come into your life. So don't be afraid of that. Number 6, tell someone, ideally the people that you live with. It's very helpful if the people closest to you know to not. I told my husband and we talked about how he could support me. He didn't know otherwise. Don't expect everyone to be super excited for you either. We expect that everyone's going to be excited for us because it's a huge deal to stop drinking. But if they're not excited, just know that that's normal. Most people don't think it's a big deal because they don't understand. And this is also why having a supportive sober community is important, because other sober people know how hard this is and will be very excited to celebrate your wins and your milestones with you. And along those lines, number 7, please don't do it alone. We feel like we should be able to do it alone, or that we're different from everybody else and we don't need help. But being stubborn and proud could be preventing you from quitting. Getting support is actually really important. We need to realize that other people know how we feel and that they've experienced exactly what we've gone through and thought all the weird thoughts that we've thought. And we need to get feedback from other sober people when we're having a tough time. This creates accountability because you feel like people care about you and are invested in your sobriety. Accountability and support make you pause and consider if you should drink before you make that decision to do it. And this is especially important if you don't feel like you're supported by real life people. Ways that you can get support are therapy, in-person or online meetings, online sober communities, in or outpatient treatment, or coaching. I started with therapy, and the only time I was ever able to take a week off was when I knew I would have to go back and see my therapist and tell her whether or not I drank. Number 8, have other drinks on hand. Drinking boring old water all the time isn't going to do it for most people. You're likely going to want a tasty treat at night, so stock up on other drinks. This could be NA drinks if you're comfortable with that, and I explain the science of NA drinks in episode 190, but if that's not your thing, then I just love sparkling water and vitamin water. Vitamin water has that nice flavor that makes me feel mentally satisfied. And this tip is especially true too when you're socializing. Make sure there's something for you to drink because no one else is going to provide it for you, and you don't want to have to drink tap water and feel awkward. Number 9, spend 1 hour a day doing sober stuff. This could be attending a meeting, checking in with your sober community, listening to podcasts, reading Quitlet, and more. This may immediately be like, oh, so much work. But think about it. How much work did you put into your drinking? How much time were you willing to invest in drinking alcohol? Probably more than an hour a day. We spent time thinking about it, recovering from it, and beating ourselves up for it. You'll still have a lot more free time even if you use an hour on sober stuff. Number 10, walk it off. I walked 7 to 8 miles a day, every day, for the first 6 months of my sobriety. Walking helps because it helps us process our thoughts. It's a distraction that takes us away from possible drinking, and studies have even found that a 15-minute brisk walk can reduce cravings to drink. So if walking doesn't do it for you, then maybe yoga or meditation is your thing. Even now, when I have stress or a low mood, I walk several times a day. And number 11, please try not to focus on the end goal because you'll miss a lot of the positives. I quit drinking for 7 days and 90 days before stopping for good, and both times I focused on the end goal of being able to drink again. Because of that, I missed out on a lot of the positives of not drinking. And I know it's so easy to go into it hoping that you're going to be cured someday, but you'll miss out on things if you do that. Try to remind yourself to live in the present instead of in a potential future that, spoiler, is never gonna happen. Sorry, not sorry. That's my job, to convince you it will never happen. So those are my 11 tips for you. I hope they're helpful. And please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my Dry July episodes. I promise you, they're gonna be so good. I spent a lot of time on them. So thank you for listening, and I will talk to you in the next one.